Hey guys, what's going on? Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you may be. Good evening even. Hey, it's me, Jimmy, and today I'm actually going to talk about imports, but I said I was going to talk about it a while ago. So let's get started without further ado. Importing. What to know, where to buy, and all that jazz. So with importing games on retro consoles, it's always an interesting experience because when you import, you're either going to get it from another country, whether it be PAL, the PAL regions, or NTSCJ, Japan or Korea or anything like that. So you might get a Super Comboy game or something like that. There are a couple things you need to know. So first of all, Nintendo handhelds are usually region free. The only one that's not region free would be the Nintendo 3DS. It's the only handheld that's not region free. So Game Boy games, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, Nintendo DS games are region free. Not too entirely sure about DSi games, but I mean, there's really not many of them. From my understanding, there's like literally a handful of those games. There aren't a lot. Another thing to know is that the N64 and the Super Nintendo can be made region free because the Super Nintendo has two little tabs on the inside of the console that you can snap off some pliers or you can sand down. N64 is a little bit more difficult. You actually have to solder off some points off of there. My cat scared him, sorry. But yeah, some small little points on there. You can solder those off, put them back in with whatever you want, and bam, you are free to play Japanese games. So without further ado, where do you start on import games? So import games, I usually recommend people start with the Game Boy, just because Game Boy games are extremely cheap already for the American market, but you get a wide selection when you import. Plus two, importing games loose is extremely cheap, like wildly cheap. So let me give you an example here. So here in box I have Super Mario All-Stars, which is called Super Mario Collection in Japan. So to get this game loose here in America, it's about 20 bucks. If you want it complete in box, right now it'll run you about $40 to $50, and that's for a box that's in alright condition and fair condition. This one though, when I bought it for about 20 bucks. Usually the part that gets you the most is shipping, because shipping varies. Sometimes it'll be free. I usually recommend you get a tracking number if you are going to import, because if that package is lost, you are out. You are out for those 20 bucks. You're done. That's why if you are going to import, I recommend importing from one seller and getting not just one game, but 2, 3 games, 5 games even, just so that way it'll be worth your while. And usually, a lot of the times, a lot of the sellers will give you a discount because you're buying more than one item. That's usually my best tactic for that. So Super Mario Collection, Super Mario All-Stars, the only reason I have it is because I really like the box and I really like the game, so I figured I want the Japanese inbox. Another thing to note as well is that there are actually some games that actually do have English text in them and that are literally just not translated in Japanese. Here is one in particular that I have. Right here. And it is Batman Returns on the Super Famicom, which has a super sweet box. Like, this box is absolutely magnificent. Look at how great that box is. But yeah, that's one game that is extremely import friendly. All the menus are in English. Everything's in English. I don't actually know if there's any difference. There might be a slight difference in difficulty. Might even be the same difficulty because I don't have the American version of the game. And let's see what else here. So usually if you are going to import games for Super Famicom, you're obviously going to go for platformers or shoot 'em ups, whether it be Pop-In Twin B, Super Mario Brothers, let's see, the Mickey Mouse games, a trilogy of games. You can also go for a Kirby. Kirby is usually a good one to go for. It's pretty simple. Of course though, there are a couple games that you will need better grasp of the language. Whether if you want to play Super Dodgeball, the Super Famicom think this is a sequel to the Famicom/arcade version of the game. This game does require a lot more knowledge of the language. Luckily, they do use a lot of katakana and hiragana, so it's not too bad if you understand that. And of course, naturally, if you do start importing, you do have a vast world of RPGs that are at your disposal. I happen to really like Fire Emblem, and the one I really enjoyed the most as a kid was the one on the Super Famicom, Mystery of the Emblem, and Genealogy of the Holy War. These two are relatively cheap, actually. You can get these two loose for about $7 each, and if you want them in box, it'll cost you, I believe right now, about 30 bucks each, maybe a little less. It just depends, you know, good day and bad days. It really just depends on what's going on that day. You can usually just wait, and you usually get them for a really good price. Other games I do recommend is obviously Kirby. Kirby, if you want it boxed in Japan, it is about 20 bucks. Come out to about 30-40 bucks with shipping. It just depends. As I told you guys though, tracking numbers, I highly recommend you get them. Now let's move on to the portable scene. So with the portable scene on Game Boy, there are a whole slew of games that you can get for extremely good prices. There are sellers that sell literally like just buckets of games, just grab bag of games that you can play. And for that, I do recommend buying them in bulk. Usually sellers will try and sell certain games from certain series in bulk. So you'll get games like Kirby. You'll get Kirby. So this is Kirby's Dream Land 2, Hashino Kirby 2. This one, I happened to get really lucky and I got it for about $15. I got it in box. It has everything in it. It's a super cute little box. There are actually 2 lines of boxes in that family. So there is the deluxe larger box, and then there is the budget size smaller box. And let me show you a Game Boy game box, but for comparison. So here is Kirby Tilt and Tumble US. Here is the box. As you can see, it's not too big of a difference in box sizes, but it is pretty interesting, especially if you're limited on space, you feel me? You might want to go for the smaller boxes. But it is interesting. Sellers will usually sell them by series. So you'll get Super Mario Land 1 and 2, and then like Wario Land, and you will usually pay about 20 bucks for 3 games. So that is extremely good. And Donkey Kong Land, that is another trilogy that you usually see paired together, along with Donkey Kong, the Game Boy game. That's usually all paired together. It usually goes for an extremely low price. I usually recommend holding out and going for bidding auctions, just because that way you can usually get a slightly better price. If you don't want to do it, you can just usually go for buy it now, and you should be all right in price range. So next up from that is actually the Super Mario Advance games. So the Super Mario Advance games, the cheapest one in the series is actually the first one. The first one you can usually get for about $10 in box. I know this fact right now. It's been going up just a little bit, so it's been getting slightly more expensive, and I've seen it go for about 15 to 20 now. I do see a couple 10s here and there, but the cart loose is actually about $4 cheaper, like $7 cheaper. So if you see a box one, go up online, and you see a loose one, just go for the buy now on the box one. It's about $4 more. As I said, get that tracking number, always important. And Bomberman games. Bomberman games are the best for import. There are a ton of them on the Super Famicom. There's 5 of them, if I remember correctly, in the Main 9 series. There's Panic Bomber W, and I think there's like 2 other ones as well. They're relatively cheap. You can get them for a really good price, loose. The box versions will run you about $30 each, just depending. The loose versions will run you about $10 to $20. The Game Boy game, I happen to get really lucky with this one. I got it for, I think it was about $17, and then I paid about $4 for shipping. The guy sent a tracking number. That is another thing as well. Some of the sellers will provide you a tracking number, and it won't be too bad. I think it might just depend on the prefecture where these games are coming from. And Game Boy Advance games, as I mentioned, All of them are region free. Final Fight 1. This is actually one that I definitely recommend. It is a port, an enhanced port of the Super Nintendo game for the Game Boy Advance. This version is quite possibly the best version of the game, sans the Sega CD version, which has the best music, just by far. This version actually has the missing area, the industrial area. It has all the minigames, though they're still out of order. It has Guy, it has 2 unlockable characters. The game is slightly sped up from the Super Nintendo version, so it runs at a really good pace. All the action is there. The music is, while not as great, it is not that bad. It's not bad renditions of those classic tunes from Final Fight, especially the park theme. Always a blast to listen to. And also as well, this version does have connectivity, 2-player co-op through the link cable. So, not a lot of people know this, but the American version is actually missing a difficulty that is found in the Japanese version. So, that difficulty is called Super Hard. I honestly don't know what the difference is between the two. I played both of them to completion multiple times just because Final Fight is one of my favorite series of all time. So that's that game. And 2 games that I've been seeing climb up in price recently. And I do recommend you pick up the Japanese versions just because they are actually extremely cheap loose. And that would be DuckTales 1 and DuckTales 2. So these guys come in the smaller boxes, as you can tell. And right now, I've been seeing a lot of DuckTales games. The Nintendo and the Game Boy games starting to jump up in price. These ones you can get for a relatively cheap price. So you can get DuckTales 1 for about $7. You can get DuckTales 2 for about that price, but you'll usually see it averaging about $10. So that is this video on imports. If you guys have any questions, if you guys want to talk about imports, comment below, man. I definitely love imports. And I really like talking to people about importing games and, you know, any games that they've imported or stuff like that. Granted, you know, that's not my entire import collection. I do have a lot more. I lean more towards the Game Boy side than anything else. But if you guys just want to have a conversation, let me know, man. I really like to hear your guys' thoughts on everything. Alright guys, have a great one, alright?